And in national news, today marks the 2-year anniversary of the attack on the U.S. Capitol. President Biden is marking the anniversary with a solemn tribute of the day. Let's take a listen.
Usurp the peaceful transfer of power. All of it was fueled by lies about the 2020 election. But on this day, 2 years ago, our democracy held because we, the people, as the Constitution refers to us, we, the people, did not flinch. We, the people, endured. We, the people, prevailed. And on this day of remembrance, joined by the Vice President and the Second Gentleman and all of you, we honor a remarkable group of Americans who embodied the best before, during, and after January the 6th, 2021. For the first time in my presidency, I'm bestowing the Presidential Citizens Medal, one of our nation's highest civilian honors. It recognizes, quote, citizens of the United States of America who have performed exemplary deeds of service for their country or their fellow citizens, end of quote. In a few moments, the full citation of their exemplary deeds will be read by a military aide. But this is who these people, these extraordinary Americans are. Heroic law enforcement officers. As Congressman Benny Thompson said, a man of immense character and honor himself eloquently said about these officers, he said, quote, "You held the line that day, and what was on the line was our democracy, and history will remember your names." And history will remember your names. They'll remember your courage. They'll remember your bravery. They'll remember your extraordinary commitments to your fellow Americans. It's not hyperbole. That's a fact. That's a fact. And folks, history also going to remember your instincts to respond, to do something, as you did. And as we all watched, this is the irony of it all America watched it on television and saw it repeated and repeated. In the past months, we've heard you testify to the nation about what happened that day, what you were thinking of at the time it was happening, what you're thinking now, the threats, the violence, the savageness of what happened, the trauma, all real. And it's not exaggeration to say America owes you all, I really mean this, a debt of gratitude, one we can never fully repay unless we live up to what you did. Live up to what you did. And what you did was truly consequential, not a joke. If I can halt for a second and just say to you, the impact, what happened on July the 6th had international repercussions beyond what I think any of you can fully understand. The first meeting I had of what they call the G7, the 7 leading economies in the world, democracies, I sat down. It was in February. It was in England. And I sat next to the President of France, across from the Chancellor from Germany, etc. And I said, America's back. You know what the response was? Not a joke. For how long? For how long? And I just sat there and looked, and I believe it was the Prime Minister of Italy who said, but I can't remember for certain which of the 6 said it. And what would you think, Mr. President, if tomorrow you woke up and you had a headline in the press saying that in the British Parliament, a mob had come down the hall, broken down the doors of the House of Commons. Police officers were killed or died. The place was vandalized in order to overthrow the election of a Speaker of the House, a Prime Minister's election. Think about it. Think about it. What would we think if we heard that news today? Any other leading democracy in the world went through this. So folks, these people and the people representing those who couldn't be here because they gave their lives for this is incredibly consequential. That's not political talk, that's historical fact. Officer Daniel Hodges, Metropolitan Police Department, Virginia National Guardsman, 8 years on the beat. His first time inside the Capitol was on January the 6th. Sprayed with poison, pinned and crushed, eye almost gouged out, but he didn't break. After it was over, he was asked what he'd been fighting for. This is a local guy, an ordinary American, and he gave a simple, straightforward answer. What were you fighting for? His spontaneous answer was democracy. That's what he knew he was fighting for.
All right, you were just listening to the president, who says the U.S. Capitol Police are prepared for any future attacks on Congress, even holding a moment of silence on the steps of the Capitol earlier on today in the remembrance of the January 6th insurrection. You can continue watching on KTSM.com. Let's take a